The meeting of the Plaquemines Parish Council as sole governing authority of the Plaquemines, Port Harbour, and Terminal District is now called to order. The machines are open for roll call. Let the record reflect that 8 of 9 council members are present. Councilmember LaFrance is en route and will be here shortly. All rise, and I will now ask for Commissioner Gui to lead us in the prayer, followed by Commissioner Schultz with the pledge.
Bow our heads, please. Take this moment to acknowledge Almighty God and thank Him for our bountiful blessings, especially from the parish's natural resources. We give thanks to God for our brave and courageous men and women in our military who daily risk their lives to protect our precious freedom. And we pray for our world leaders to know how to obtain world peace. We pray that this government body, comprised of both council and administration, will always serve our parish with honesty, humility, and equality to all. And as this government body gathers here today, we pray for the wisdom to know right from wrong and the courage to do that which is right. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank everyone for attending and would ask you that you ensure that your cell phone ringers are turned off during the duration of the meeting. Let's begin with the first item on the agenda.
Agenda item 2, executive session. There are none. 3, status report by the executive port director.
Good afternoon, Port Commissioners. Mr. Tillotson is on vacation this week. We're eager to carry out the agreement with GLOW Services. GLOW is a temporary staffing agency. They will be assisting us in supplementing the hiring of ferry captains and engineers. This hiring of these critical positions will assist us in operating dual ferries as we continue to move forward with our progression of the repairs to the ferries. Earlier this week, Jalen Brown and I attended the Ports Association of Louisiana's conference in Lake Charles, where we connected with other ports, as well as the American Association of Port Authorities Executive Director. Ms. Vicknair and I attended the Louisiana Business and Industry meeting yesterday, where the governor spoke on different programs and incentives for this year, as well as changes to the Louisiana Economic Development and the Workforce Commission. If you're interested in attending the AAPA DC Legislative Summit, please let us know. We're making arrangements for commissioners to attend. If you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you for your time.
Do we have any comments from the floor? From the commissioners? Next item on the agenda, please.
4, bids and advertisements. There are none. 5, introduction of ordinances and resolutions. Let me get to it. An ordinance to amend ordinance 23-167 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto, Commissioner Schultz. The rest are for Commissioner Champagne. A resolution authorizing and directing the Port Executive Director, Charles Tillotson, to enter into and execute a cooperative endeavor agreement between the Plaquemines, Port Harbour, and Terminal District and the Regional Transit Authority, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan, Point Lahash Ferry Ramp Repair Project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing and directing the Port Chairman, Brian Champagne, to extend the employment contract of Melissa False as Deputy Port Director, Executive Counsel, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution requesting authority to advertise with contingency, port responsible for engineering.
Next item.
6, ordinances and resolutions on second reading and final passage. 6A1 is deferred. 6B is deferred. 6C, an ordinance authorizing Executive Director Charles D. Tilton of the Plaquemines Port Harbor Terminal District to enter into a 12-month professional services contract with Glow Resources to assist in staffing maritime positions, including but not limited to ferry captains as deemed necessary by the port, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto, and this has changes. Line 3, you change 12-month to 6-month. Line 6, after port, add both parties will have the option to consider one 6-month contract extension. Line 9, change 12 to 6. Line 43, change 12 to 6. Line 45, at the end of the paragraph, add both parties will have the option to consider one 6-month contract extension.
I'd like the port staff to expand upon the GLOW contract. Yeah, I offer. Correction. Second.
Yeah, you're good.
Can you repeat the changes on the last ordinance?
Line 3, change 12-month to 6-month. Line 6, after port, add both parties will have the option to consider one 6-month contract extension. Line 9, change 12 to 6. Line 43, change 12 to 6. Line 45, at end of paragraph, add both parties will have the option to consider one 6-month contract extension.
I thought this is on line 25, and I didn't see no change. I got it, it's 45.
Thank you. I offer and ask for a second. Seconded by Commissioner Gui. I'd like to have the port take the opportunity to expand upon the GLOW contract for the benefit of those in attendance and the commissioner, so they better understand what we're attempting to do. The floor is yours.
So Glow Resources is a temporary staffing agency. So we would enter into a 6-month agreement with Glow. And this is a way to assist us in hiring ferry captains and engineers because we are in desperate need of hiring and filling these positions. Right now, civil service is paying $32.25 an hour. With benefits, so taxes, insurance, and retirement, the salary for this position is $106,000. Glow Resources will pay these employees $75 an hour, up to 1,000 hours a year. So that's $75,000, and that does not include benefits. So from a cost perspective, this is a savings for the port, and will also entice applicants to apply for the position. Right now, the national average is $58 an hour. So at civil service side, we're at $32.25. The national average is $58 an hour, and Glow Resources will charge $75 an hour. And of that 75, Glow does receive a percentage. So that's how they're compensated. So this is 6 months. After 6 months, we will go before the Civil Service Commission, explain to them where we are. So we want to ensure that this is not to replace permanently. This is just to help supplement and hire these critical positions.
And we've been advertising through civil service for how long, and how many applicants have we received?
Jalen?
So I'm gonna speak on from when I joined the port December 22, and we've been advertising for Ferry Captain 3 since then, before then, and we have received 0 applicants that whole time. So this is much needed, and when Point Lahaz comes back, which the clock is ticking, we need to make a decision now because it's gonna impact not only the transportation for the public, East Bank and West Bank residents, but also the region, because in the next couple of months, 7 North is going down, and all of that traffic is going to start routing this way as well. And let's not forget evacuation routes for emergencies. That's it.
Anything else to add?
Yes, and we currently have 4 applicants that are awaiting this position. So these are retired captains who are interested in working for the port, and this will ensure them a position with the port and help us fill those positions. So we do have 4 applicants just awaiting the confirmation of this agreement today.
And I also want to reiterate that this is, like Melissa said, this is a short-term solution. We need a long-term solution. And even with the short-term solution, we have retired captains who are coming back. And our guys right now are at retirement age. They could leave today or tomorrow. We need to attract the younger captains out there. And we talk to them regularly. They've expressed interest if we get the salary close closer to the industry average. Thanks.
Thank you. Any comments from the floor? From the commissioners? Commissioner Edwards.
Yes, I'm trying to understand, you're saying this is a short-term solution and you want to go to civil service, but are you ever contingency plan that civil service reject this?
Yes, we've had a conversation with civil service, and they were in support of this solution as long as it was temporary. And we assured them that it is, which is why we did the revision for the 6-month agreement.
So just 6-month temporary solution is all you need these people for, and then after that, you can go back to the regular system. You have paying people $32 an hour, or you got a system in place to continue paying people the $58 an hour.
Well, our goal following with this agreement is to show civil service there's a pool of applicants that are interested in this position. It's a critical position for the parish. And we'd like for them ultimately to reconsider the salary that's currently for these positions. And the goal is that they will increase it, which will help us move out of the contract and into a classified position, because that is the ultimate goal.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, the timing, this is one of the things I wanted to talk about. If this goes into effect today and the 6-month meter starts to run. Okay. All right. So, on the timing issue, when, if this passes today, we're looking at 6 months window to be able to operate. Now, there's no question that it's needed. But I'm looking at when this Point LaHash ferry finally gets back up, even though it's on a temporary basis or short-term basis while the new landing is being built. 6 months from now, this thing ends and we have to extend. That'll only be a short time that we're actually using our captains, hopefully these captains, at Point LaHash. So I hope civil service understands that this is the first 6 months. We may not know anything until we put this extension for the next 6 months as far as validating what we should be paying our ferry captains. So has that been breached, have y'all briefed each other on that reality?
Yes, I've had conversations with the civil service director. So within 4 months of us entering into this agreement, she and I are going to get together and we're going to submit a proposal to civil service on increasing the positions, the salary for the position. So that is the goal, to just get us to where we need to be now on a 6-month temporary basis. But our goal is to increase the hourly rate permanently.
Exactly.
Yes.
But are we going to have a track record, since Point LaHash is not going online tomorrow? So we're not going to have 6 months at Point LaHash where we can see how this operation goes.
Right. Well, we have ferry captains right now. We have one that's going on paternity leave.
I understand, yeah,
and so
we
this is
need
the
people
deal.
now.
Right.
I know, but I'm trying to build this case so we can get the people we need on these ferries.
That's correct.
And we may not have enough time to build a case. So to stay on civil service,
Yes,
understand,
yes.
6 months, we may not really have enough information or experience in the process, and that it may be a year before we get there.
That's correct, which is why they agreed to that
Okay,
one
good.
6-month extension.
I yield.
Commissioner Schultz?
Yeah, that was one of my main questions, is making sure we're not waiting till the 6 months is up and then going to them. We need to start going to them sooner rather than later, because we know it takes a while to get some changes through civil service. The other question is, all right, let's say civil service doesn't change, doesn't give in on upping the rate, and we do the second 6 months. Then what? What is our plan at that point? I mean, have we looked at future long-term? I don't know where all of our employees' ferries are, but possibly getting rid of the civil service position for captains and going strictly through this. I'm not saying let's do that. I'm saying if civil service doesn't increase the pay, we gotta have a plan because we have to provide ferry service. So go ahead, Jalen.
No, Commissioner Schultz, you're absolutely right. Obviously, the plan A for long-term is for civil service to increase the pay, but there are several options out there, and that involves either a long-term contract, the unclassified route, or partnering with, outsourcing the operations. But obviously, the number one option is to work with civil service, which we have learned we've been successful working directly with the Director of Civil Service. And we believe that that long-term solution with moving their pay will happen.
Okay, I yield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, a couple questions you answered. So we're paying $75 an hour. How many hours of work do you anticipate working? Is it gonna be, I see you based it on 1,000 hours. Is that for 6 months? Is that for a year? Is that for a weekend? Or I don't know. Explain that to me.
So our captains So 1,000 hours is the minimum, and right now our full-time classified captains, they work 2,184 hours a year. That 1,000 hours equate out to roughly 6 months. And the 2 retired captains that's coming on through this contract, through this agreement, they're going to work every bit of the 1,000 hours because we need them. Right now, we're operating on 3 captains, 2 backups. 1 is going out. 1, I need to run the ferry department. I'm going to take away from my duties because he's going to need my help while he's running the boat. So that 1,000 hours, we're going to use every hour of it.
So you anticipate, and you said 4 folks, I shouldn't say guys, 4 folks ready to go with this glow. So we're gonna have 4 captains. You anticipate all of them working 1,000 hours in 6 months, in the 6-month time frame? Okay, I just, 2 questions. Okay. It also says here about for captains, but not limited to. What else? Are we hiring other folks? Are we, deckhands, engineers, I don't know, whatever else I guess it needs a ferry. I don't know what needs to run a ferry. You guys do. So what else are we hiring? Or are we hiring any other folks? And if we are hiring other folks, what's their rate of pay and all that? Because just some questions.
So the focus, and our only focus right now, is getting those ferry captains in here.
Okay.
Once we jump over that hurdle, then we'll focus on the next critical position.
So if we approve this, will you guys come back to us and explain what else you need and all that? Or is that just, once we approve this, you can hire who you need and through GLOW and this board doesn't get any, by the time we realize what's going on, you guys, they have folks working on it 2 months already. You understand what question I got? So the question I got is if you need more deckhands and you got deckhands and you'll say, oh, well, we got 4 captains, we need deckhands. What will be the deckhand rate of pay? How many hours a deckhand will be required to work? Just those things. Because it says not limited to, but that means that's broad when you say not limited to.
We're also gonna need chief ferry engineers. We haven't approached that with them yet. We've gotten approval from civil service for the captains only. So once we kind of get this established, then we will go back for approval for the chief ferry engineer positions. That also requires certain certifications and licensure.
The chief ferry engineers will come through GLOW or will they come through civil service?
We've had trouble filling those positions in as well. We've had those have been advertised probably since October as well.
So you would anticipate a chief ferry engineer having to go through GLOW also with the current state of the.
Yes, but
Okay.
we would have, like I said, we would have to get approval for that next step, right?
Approval from,
Civil service as well as the board.
okay.
Yeah. Right now, we're focusing
Okay.
on the captains.
Put another, so I read something in this contract, which is pretty lengthy, but I did read it. It talks about onboarding and stuff like that, onboarding. Do we required to pay while they're on board, or is that, when are we required to pay? When they get behind the wheel, or when they driving to work, or how does that work?
So we're required to pay from the moment they step foot the moment they report to work to the moment they leave work. The onboarding process is simply those applicants getting onboarded with the company. So whatever insurance they elect with the company, not us. That's what onboarding is.
Okay, so we're not required to pay for their onboarding, okay.
No, that's a vetting process that they use. It's called.
But you kind of answered one of my questions. All of these ferry captains, I guess I'm saying that, will require what type of license?
It requires 1,600-ton license. I won't accept anything less.
Okay. I yield, thank you.
Commissioner McCarty?
Good evening. My statement or question, inquiry regards the GLOW contract. It's my understanding we are working through the GLOW contract so that we can hire people who have retired from the parish. Is that correct?
That's correct.
This does not mess up their pension.
It does not.
So in 6 months, are we going to replace those people with new people that have not retired from the parish?
We're hoping to possibly extend the contract so we can get this finished. And then in the meantime, if we can get the salaries raised, we will maybe attract some more applicants so our retirees can return to being retired.
Okay. Okay, you settled my answer. Thank you.
Commissioner Schultz?
Yeah, I have two questions. This is just for the contract, but do we have a budget amendment that's gonna be coming? Because, I mean, we don't have professional services budget for ferries, captain, or for GLOW, so.
So as it stands, I have enough money between my current budgets to fund the first month or so of the first couple of months of the contract. However, we got with Tommy and we are introducing legislation at the next board meeting that's going to unfund 2 ferry positions to fund and to put into the professional services to fund this contract.
Part-
So we're not going to add to the budget.
Okay, so here's my question. How many vacant positions do we have now?
So we're only going to unfund the 2 part-time ferry captain positions. And after going through the math, that's going to be more than enough.
But do we have other full-time vacant positions?
Yes, we do.
Okay, I want to make sure that somebody does apply, that we're not unfunding and now they don't have a position to go to and then we're playing back and forth. Second question is, if, I don't see anything in here, if we have an issue with a GLOW employee, like, not necessarily breaking the law or anything, but if we have an issue, do we have I don't see anything in here that we can contact GLOW and say we don't want this employee anymore. Is there anything in there, or are we stuck with whoever GLOW sends to us?
So we're not stuck with whoever GLOW sends to us. And luckily for us, we approach GLOW with the understanding that, hey, we're going to bring our own employees. Now, if they find someone, they're going to recommend them to us. But
We have a say in it.
yes, we have a
Okay.
say in it.
That's all I want to know. I yield.
Commissioner Edwards?
Yeah, well, Commissioner Schultz asked one question because I didn't see a budget. The other thing, the chief ferry engineer, is he above the ferry captain?
No.
No, he's right below the ferry captain.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, Jalen.
No, you're fine.
Got to do it again. Hold on. Got to do a vote again. Why is it not on? Hold on, let me see. Try it again.
Let the record state that the council has voted eight in favor. One was not present, who just arrived, and the ordinance has passed. Let the record also state that Commissioner LaFrance has just arrived. We now have non-commissioners present. Next item on the agenda, please.
D, an ordinance authorizing the executive director of the Port, Charles Tillotson, to amend and extend the Environmental Science Services Incorporated contract for a 12-month period from February 18, 2024 to February 17, 2025, with the option to extend for 2 additional terms and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Champagne.
So offered. Second by Commissioner McCarty. And any comments from the floor? From the commissioners?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I spoke with the port staff. I think Mr. George and Mr. LaFrance were also there about this. It's pretty high-tech stuff we're dealing with here. Question, I know it's, the cost, I see Mr. Henry showed up. So the cost for the public, it's $525,000, is that correct?
Please repeat.
The cost of this contract is $525,000, correct?
It's on a task, we have to be approved by the port staff first, but that's the current, yes.
That's the current. And we have a grant for it also, correct?
Yes.
So I know we spoke about the grant. I looked through the budget book with the grant. What I did is I found a grant for it, for the GIS, for $393,750 for the grant. So I know you said there might be some other, I couldn't find it, so I don't know where it's at, if you think. But again, it's a good thing. So the question I got, this is for 1 year for these exhibit that you put for these tasks, correct?
Up to one or all of those tasks.
I'm sorry, say again?
So it's up to one or all of those tasks.
Right, so you have it broken down as far as what tasks cost and what they cost. So also, it spoke on a contract about a time frame. So do you have, or has Environmental Science Service presented us with some type of time frame that these tasks should be complete, or do we have any of that?
So there is a time frame for each task that's listed on there, ranging from 30 days to 15 days. And that's something we can provide to the board. And we put that scope of work together just for transparency.
Correct, and I
You know,
appreciate
that's
that.
the range of services that we need to make sure that, hey, whether it's a master planning application or capturing tariffs, we're good. But we do have a plan. We do have a range of days, how long it takes to accomplish these tasks.
Is there any penalty or anything if they don't complete them by the date they said they could? Or is that anything written in this? I didn't see anything written in the contract that I read for that. Like, if you get a contract to build something and it's not built in this many days, they start taking money back. Is anything built into the contract to win in this contract? I didn't see it. I don't know. I might have overlooked it. I didn't see it. I guess I need to be more frank and more open. So, task 1.0, need assessment and project plan. Is there, and I have no idea how long that'll take. Again, I'm not, if they say it's going to take 30 days, it's going to take 6 months. I don't know. But is there, so in the time frame that they don't have it done, what's the deal and what happens?
So for each task, step one, they're going to come to us, say, here's the task, here's how long it's going to take, here's what we're going to need from the port, and here's what's going to come from us. From the procurement side, the procurement perspective, we're going to follow our port procurement policies. However, we're going to also put into each task order for each scope of work, item in the scope of work that, hey, if, items aren't complete in a timely manner, i.e. 30 days, there is a penalty, i.e., we're not going to bill you until it's completed. So it's going to go by percentage.
Okay. Thank you. I'm finished. Thank you.
Commissioner Schultz?
So yes, one of the main things in that cost is the digital twin. I know we talked about it. So my main question with that is, after the contract's over, is there any ongoing costs that we're going to be responsible for, or is that our software, our information at that point? Because I want to know I know $525,000 over the next year, but I want to know ongoing costs.
So the product is ours. We
Okay.
own it. And for the ongoing costs, that's items such as maintenance, software upgrades. And that's why we planned and budgeted for a GIS analyst for this fiscal year.
Okay, and that person will be responsible for that? Okay, so basically, we're going to be paying somebody to maintain it.
Maintain as well as update it once
Okay.
the work is done.
Commissioner Edwards?
Yeah, Commissioner Schultz asked one of my questions about the software. when I was looking, let me ask you, were these the same people that I met in Colorado who did that presentation? Okay, that's what I was thinking. But anyway, what I'm concerned about, at the end of this contract, will we have staff people with the capability of doing with this, what they was doing with all this equipment? Because I noticed there's a lot of foam that have to be filled. So when this contract is over, we would have people on staff with the capability to continue this without them.
So what's great about this contract and this company is they're teaching us as they're going. So they're not withholding information and putting us on a leash to say that we need them. So not only will we have a particular position that's going to maintain this product after this contract is over, we also have myself, we also have members of our staff who are learning how to use it as well.
Well, I think that's the other question for me, because I was concerned about how many people are needed, because I noticed the contract, they had senior analysts, one senior analyst, two, I can't remember the profile sheet on it, I think when I sent my email during the week. So, but my main issue is that, besides yourself, because I think that might be stretching you a little thin, because you have a lot of responsibility, are we looking at having some people that be their primary responsibility? Because if you go into the garden doing your other thing, the ship coming the river, we can't be trying to get you to get on your computer from Afghanistan somewhere trying to help us. So we're looking at trying to have some people just to do these functions.
Yes, the GIS analyst that's on our books. And luckily for us, we have a lot of motivated young employees on our rescue boat side, and they're picking it up as well.
Okay.
Commissioner McCarty?
To clarify, the ongoing costs are related to hosting, perhaps in the cloud and on a local server, and licensing from Esri and other services. Is that correct? Just the same as any other SaaS software?
Nope, no ma'am, it's just
Okay.
every item you mentioned, as well as just maintenance of our hardware for the system and the software itself.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Commissioner Newsom?
Yeah, I apologize, Morgan. So the GI analyst that we have on the budget, that we appropriate the budget for, are we advertising for that?
So we did send an advertisement off. However, I wanted to make the job description specific for the port. The current job description was broad, and I don't want to just get anyone off the street. I'll make sure we have the right person that's the right fit.
Okay, so you took it down?
no,
Took it down, you don't, when do you plan on putting it back out? Or do you have a time frame putting the GIS analyst out for bid for somebody to come monitor this stuff? Because this is, like you said, I saw it, it's very high tech. It's very state of the art. As my colleague said, it's what Series FBI uses on their TV show. So it's very high tech. So when do you anticipate putting another one out? Because now that you kind of got an idea what you got.
Within the next week.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So, yep, the job description's on my desk within the next week. I'm going to send it to our Director of Administration, and she's going to send it to Civil Service to post.
Thank you.
And before I call a vote, I'll just say that Jalen's being quite modest. He's done a great job with this. And one of the things he showed some of the commissioners was we're going to leverage technology to make sure we capture even lost revenue that we're losing because we don't have clear eyes on our port. This will enable us to get real-time eyes on and bill accordingly. And this is going to pay for itself and the GIS analysts. Machines are open. Let the record state the ordinance passes 9-0. Next item, please.
E, an ordinance authorizing the executive director of the port, Charles Tillotson, to amend and extend the KDC Enterprises LLC contract for a 12-month period from February 9th, 2024 to February 8th, 2025, with the option to extend for 2 additional terms and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Champagne.
So offered. Ask for a second. Second for Commissioner Schultz. And the reason this is up is just to, we've been using this firm and their rates have gone up. Just the cost of doing business has gone up. And they've been doing great work for us for a number of years. And again, it is just to address the increase in fees. Any comments from the floor? From the Port Commission? From the commissioners? The machines are open. Let the record state that the ordinance is passed 9-0. Next item, please.
F, a resolution authorizing the Plaquemines Port Harbor Terminal District to dispose of inoperable movable property, specifically to dispose of 2 trailers on an as-is, where-is basis in accordance with Louisiana statutes governing the disposal of movable property owned by a political subdivision of the state, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Champagne.
I offer and ask for a second. Second from Commissioner Newsom. Basically, the port is getting rid of surplus material that we don't use. Any comments from the floor? From the commissioners? Machines are open. Any ordinance passes 9-0. Next item, please.
G, a resolution authorizing the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District to dispose of inoperable movable property, specifically to dispose of a 2001 Dodge 3500 pickup truck and a 2005 Ford F-150 utility truck on an as-is, whereas basis in accordance with Louisiana statutes governing the disposal of movable property owned by a political subdivision of the state, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Champagne.
I offer. Ask for a second. Second from Commissioner Newsom. The same thing. We're just getting rid of surplus material. Any comments from the floor? From the commissioners? Machines are open. Any ordinance passes 9-0. Next item.
H, a resolution amending
got it
certain
before you.
terms of Resolution Number 21269 adopted on November 4th, 2021, regarding the issuance of not exceeding 3 million Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District dock and wharf facilities revenue bonds in order to provide for various amendments to the provisions thereof, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Champagne.
I offer. Ask for a second. Second from Commissioner McCarty. What this is, the underwriter is just changing from Citigroup to Morgan Stanley. That's it. Citigroup's no longer going to be in the bond business, so we had to change. They had to change the organization that handled it. Any comments from the floor? From the commissioners? Commissioner Edwards?
Yeah, I've been trying to understand what's really happening here. We're not owning the dock. The New Orleans terminal still will own the dock. And so what are we getting? We acting for a bond of this amount of money. What's our return for this if we don't own the dock?
Yeah, we're not asking for a bond. We're just loaning them the use of our name so they could take advantage. They're utilizing our name as a public entity, so that opens them up for ability to get grants, et cetera. And what this does, it helps support. But it costs us nothing.
Okay. So we co-signing this in order so they can.
It's not a cosign. We're just agreeing.
Okay, but even after this all is over with, they still own the dock.
Yes.
And so when ships come in, are we going to be paying them to use the dock?
We have a representative here from the organization. If, ma'am, when you step up to the mic and please introduce who you are and give your address, please.
Meredith Hathorn. I'm with the firm Foley and Udell, and we're serving as bond counsel to the Plaquemines Port. What this is a tax-exempt bond issue. And under the tax law, if you do certain types of bond issues, then the interest on those bonds is not included in gross income for federal income taxation. So the IRS requires that a public body such as yourself be involved in those types of bond issues. And we call you a conduit issuer, where you are basically just lending your name, as the chairman stated, to this bond issue and agreeing to pay the bonds solely from the amounts paid from the company. So it is totally a pass-through. We have a trustee bank that gets the money. You never get the money. It goes straight to the trustee, and the trustee pays the bondholders. With respect to ownership, there is tax ownership that is required to be transferred to you, but it is not ownership where you are operating and maintaining it. Again, it's just part of the IRS rules that require you to do this. So it's a name only, and what part of my job is working with you in the port and making sure that you are protected and indemnified for any and all things that are going to happen with respect to this project or these bonds. This bond issue is very similar to another deal that y'all have out there for International Marine Terminals that was done in 1984. It's not even on your audited financials. You have no responsibility, but your name is there. And again, this is very similar to what other ports do. New Orleans Port's done it for CG Rail and some other entities. So I'd be happy to answer any other questions that you have.
And that's my basic question still this, is that after all that's said and done, they own the dock. And so when ships comes in, you know, do we get the stuff from the ship or do the dock get it?
They get it. The company gets it.
The company get it. I'm saying they basically use our name and
Yes.
they basically, and in terms of, they also getting the revenues from it.
Absolutely.
And not us.
That's correct.
I was just trying to understand that.
Yeah.
Commissioner Schultz?
And for the public, can you make clear that the port is not liable?
Yes.
And what happens if they miss a payment or don't pay, how we're not liable, just for the public?
Yes, so again, our bond documents are very clear that this is not a debt from a constitutional or statutory standpoint of the port or the parish, the state, or any other political subdivision. So again, it's a very limited and special revenue obligation. Your obligation is only to the extent that there are payments made, that they are sent to the trustee. And so it's very consistent with all other types of conduit issues that we do. So we, as we call it, the skull and crossbones language that we put on every offering document to say this, do not come to the port and ask for any money. It is solely the revenues of the project and the borrower's cash and property. So,
Any other questions from commissioners? Hey, thank you so much for the great briefing.
Thank you.
Great education. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Machines are open. And the ordinance passes 8-1. 8-4, 1 against. Next item.
Item I, an ordinance to eliminate the usage fees of tolls charged for the use of the ferries operated by the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, and to amend the appropriation to the Ferry Department to account for the revenue that was attributable to the usage fees or tolls, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Edwards.
I like to offer an amendment to it.
Got a cue in Chris. Chris, hit. Commissioner Schultz.
All right, starting on line 26, this was after talking to Reverend Edwards.
No,
I got offer the amendment. So starting on line 26, effective, I guess, March 1st, 2024, striking through, there will no longer be levied. We're striking through that. So effective March 1st, 2024, the usage of the ferry, or the usage fee or toll for usage of the ferries is suspended until such time as the Point Lahash ferry is back in regular operation, period. Upon certification by the Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port, Harbor, and Terminal District that the Point Lahash ferry is back in regular operation, usage fees or tolls for usage of the ferry shall be reinstated at the rate in place on the date of adoption of this ordinance.
So I offer it with that amendment.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Offered by Commissioner Edwards, seconded by Commissioner Schultz. The machines are open to accept the amended ordinance. Yes.
Public comment.
Before? All right, the floor is open to the public before we vote.
Arthur Henry Belchase. I don't agree with the amendment. I think it should be a permanent toll that be not levied against the people, because the people on this side got to kick the ferry, then you got to pay a toll to go over the Belchase Bridge. You can double dip there. The people on the West Bank don't have to pay that. But you live on the East Bank, you got to pay a double dip. That's not fair to the public.
Any other comments from the floor? No.
Well, you gotta get taken.
Commissioner Schultz.
So after talking with Reverend Edwards and everything on this, the Point Lahash ferry has been out for over a year now. And it's a major inconvenience to residents, not only on the East Bank, but southern end of the West Bank that has to go jury duty or anything like that. So we talked, and I think he said that he's fine with this amendment. But in the meantime, what I want to look at is overall structure of the ferries, rates, everything, to see what can be done. Ms. McCarty had a suggestion for Allen Parish residents possibly paying $2 while keeping the residents at one rate. So just look at different things. That gives us, what, about 6 months into the ferries back in service to look at it, come up with a solution long-term. It won't impact that grant. I know it's a sensitive subject, but at the same time, the people are being inconvenienced with this, and it's been a year now. They have to pay gas to come all the way up to Belle Chase, then go back down. And I think just for the meantime, until the Point LaHatch ferry is back up in service, this is a possible solution. But I want to look at overall structure of the ferries and what can be done. I yield.
Before we go further, I want to make sure that we don't get sidetracked. Now, we have to accept the amendment. Then the amendment is going to be open for discussion. I think we're having some of the discussion now. All right, well, I just want to make sure we're not discussing the same thing twice, and, you know.
You're discussing the amendment.
I got it. What I'm saying to the fellow commissioners, I don't want the commissioners to plow the same earth all over again once we accept the amendments. I just want to make that clear. So say what you have to say now, and then when we accept the amendment, then we'll go to vote. Just to make sure everybody's tracking what we're doing. So you're going to discuss what you want to do now. We'll vote to accept the amendment. Then when the amendment's accepted, then we'll bring it up to vote again, to vote as amendment. I just want to make sure we have the discussion now. So some of you, so if you want to speak, you speak now. That's what I'm saying.
There's no confusion on my part about what's happening. Again, to Mr. Ender, I just want to address the issue. One issue, this is definitely obviously a compromise on my part because there's a lot of stuff that's happening around this issue. I talked to the person who wrote the grant about this morning, and the issue about maintenance issues and about whether we can get future grants. And it's so much of stuff out there in the air about it. I don't want to really get into, but it's related to the maintenance. You know, we as a council failed on the maintenance issue because the problem is that we put a lot of money into maintenance and we didn't get the result. It took the river going down for us to see that the dolphins and stuff were destroyed because somebody wasn't mining the house. So it's not the amendment. We are responsible for the amount of money we paid on a ferry. The past council brought a ferry for passengers, but didn't look at its capacity, its motor, and all those kind of other stuff. And so we're being penalized for it. So this is just one stage in the process to bring some temporary relief. Hopefully we can come back and do some more research on it because this happened really fast, and I had a chance to talk to people. I talked to the person who wrote the grant. Because when this first presented to me, it was illogical. It didn't even make no sense to me. Still didn't make no sense, the response to how we even got to this point. So I'm supporting this because it's a step towards bringing some kind of relief. And then at the end of this, we'll come back and look at it again. So I'm hoping that we do get this temporary relief as a compromise.
Commissioner McCarty?
Mr. Brown, right now I have two questions. Do we have any idea how much money we would forfeit from not collecting for 6 months? Do we know how much we collect roughly every month, and then we can add it up times it by 6 to know what this amendment may cost?
Sorry, doing some quick math real quick.
That's fine. I didn't know if you even knew the monthly cost or collections.
Well, the 2024 budget was $250,000. That's, I don't know.
So we collect anywhere around 12 to 15,000 a month. Oh, that was correct. No, it's correction. We collect close to 25,000 a month in tolls. So for 6 months, 20,000. So for 6 months, that's around half our expected revenue, 125,000. So our 251,000 that we collected last year, it really depends because we're working with the residents. You know, I just had a passenger from the community call me the other day thanking me for some free passes we had because they had a issue they had with one of our employees. We're working with everybody, and yep, that's it.
Okay, so roughly, we would normally collect 125,000 over the 6-month period.
Yes.
Do you know what our expenses are per month?
A lot.
We have an operational, that's a deep one. We have an operational loss of around $3.1 million with our ferry operations. So we break that down.
Divided by 12?
Yep.
Okay. That's 258,000. Looks like I put a decimal point in there. Per month. So 25,000 collected. And we have a great loss. Okay. So we see that there's a great disparity in what we're collecting versus what we're spending.
Yes.
Okay. So if we were to conditionally give passes to people who have to come from the lower end of the parish to cross the ferry and go back down, is it possible with the app to put a geofence in the people who live in a certain region that have to come all the way up the parish, let's say from Jesuit Bend would probably come to Belle Chase, but below Jesuit Bend, could we say in the app, people who live below Jesuit Bend might receive a pass versus people above that who would normally come through Belle Chase to go across would not? What would you say? Is that what you, the people in Jesuit Bend normally come to Belle Chase to cross, or do they normally go to Point LaHash?
Commissioner Carter, I think we need to focus in. I mean, I understand what you're
But what
saying,
I'm
but that's
trying
a
to say-
conversation for another
What
time.
I'm trying to say, is there a way, instead of giving a discount to everyone who crosses the ferry, is there a way to single out people who have to go all the way around by putting a geofence on that?
I'm not sure I can answer that question at this moment. But I can reach back out to the company we work with for the app, and I can provide you an answer.
Okay. So because of the great cost versus collections, I would be more adapt to giving a discount or relieving the cost to people who have to come all the way up the parish and go all the way around versus everyone. I yield.
Commissioner Schultz?
All I was going to add was we're kind of skewing the numbers also because the 250,000 is for a full year with both ferries up and running. The $3 million loss is for a full year with both ferries up and running. Right now, we don't have both ferries up and running. So we don't have the numbers just on Belle Chase, do we?
Yep, it's 251,000 that we collected last year,
Just for Belle Chase?
just from Belle Chase, because Point LaHash went down at the end of the,
But our overall loss for the year was like $3 million, I thought, for the
Yes.
ferry. So, but you just said $3 million for, so we're not running two boats. So, I mean, it's still, yes, it's a loss. I'm not saying that, but I yield.
Commissioner Edwards?
Yeah, I really don't understand what Patty was saying about people below and above Belle Chase on it. I just saying that, to me, it's the parish paying for the sins of the past for neglecting the maintenance on it. I don't think that this going to break the Pope. We just saw a few minutes ago where we was able to have money to pay for ferry captains, and we got a lot of stuff we can do. I just think this was sending a message to people on the East Bank that we really are concerned about the hardship that they're going through. And so again, I call for the question.
Wait, I still have an opportunity to speak as a commission before we call to, and then my take on this is, you say that we need to relieve the people in the East Bank. I think the port has made a conscious decision to do so. Right now, we operate one boat, and we've realized that this parish and its geography requires the operation of two. The port is going to knowingly take on increased risk and loss of revenue. It's going to cost us significantly more money. So to say that the port is not looking out for the welfare of the people is not necessarily true. Asking riders to pay $1 is nothing compared to the overall cost and the convenience that two ferries will provide. We spoke about this ad nauseum several months ago, and even considered running one boat in the middle of the parish, and recognized that that would have been still difficult for people on both ends of the parish, both East Bank and Lower West Bank. So we decided to go with two boats. The port is knowingly taking on a significant loss of revenue, several $1 million, more than we even can account for, because we don't know what it's actually going to cost to run these boats. We don't know the operational cost of the new boat that the parish got a grant for $25 million. We're about to spend almost $2 million to redo the old facility so we can get up and running while we're constructing a new facility that's going to cost multi-million dollars. We don't even know what the overall price tag is on it. All for the people of this parish, because you do deserve it. But again, to knowingly take on this loss and to say that $250,000 is insignificant, I say not. And that's not including the GLOW contract, which is going to be, we just heard, $75,000 per captain. So to say that we're not looking out for the welfare of the people, I don't think is not true. I think the intentions are good, but ultimately, everything bears a cost. There's nothing free in this world. To say the people on the West Bank don't have to pay, I just paid to come here. I don't mind paying because it supports the ferry. And I got a toll on the bridge just like the people on the East Bank. So we bear the same burden, same cost. So I think that we need to explore some options, as Commissioner Schultz said. I think Commissioner McCarty had an outstanding recommendation of, giving us a break, paying something, but maybe charging the outside people a little more. Right now, we need to take advantage of the increased level of contractors we have here and tap into them to gain some more revenue. We need to help pay for this thing. I yield. Commissioner France?
Yes. Speaking to the people from on the East Bank and on the West Bank, their biggest issue weren't the dollar. The bigger issue, if it told me, if you really want to help us, how can we speed up on getting Point LaHash up and running? It's a big inconvenience for the people on the East Bank, and it's a big inconvenience for the people on the West Bank also. Because when the people, if they have to come to the court, if the people from Beers, the Boothville, Port Selva, they have to come all the way to Bellchase and come catch the ferry, come all the way back down. So it's not only a inconvenience for the people on the East Bank, but it's an inconvenience for the people on the West Bank also. And again, the people on the southern end on the East Bank, and if they shop at Freeman, or if they go to utilize our hospital, or if a lot of them go to work for you, Mr. Johnson, it's an inconvenience. How can we expedite? How can we fast track getting our Point LaHash ramp up renovated? Can we put it on a fast track? I asked Mr. Jailer.
So today we had the pre-bid meeting, and once the contract is awarded, so it has one more week to be advertised. March 5th, we sit down, open the bids, and look, we're moving fast. We're not gonna sit on it for 30 days. So once we read each person that was interested, we're gonna make a decision hopefully in 2 to 3 days. It shouldn't take us that long. And from there, we just write a contract out. It should take us less than 30 days, pending us getting it to the board, getting it introduced and approved. Hopefully we can move faster with that process, and they have 180 days from there. If we were to move expeditiously, this process from March 5th should only take us 30 to 45 days, and then after that, the contractors can work, and it's around 180 days pending whether the river that it will be completed.
Projected time to be completed?
I'm sorry, say again?
Projected time to be
We're
completed?
looking at the end of the summer, so around the end of September, beginning of October.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Commissioner McCarty.
Mr. Edwards, is it possible to defer this until the next meeting?
Go down. Because again, I was told the speed up was gonna be July. Now I'm hearing really August, because the question Mr. Frame raised, that's been always my question. One, how can we speed up to get the ferry? Because we've been told, we thought it was gonna be up and running within a year, and so now I'm hearing September, so it feels like the date is going back. So I can live with whatever way the vote is, but I would like to call for the vote.
All right. And first we have to vote on the amendment. The machines are open. We're voting on the amendment. Yes. Let the record state that the amendment has passed 7-4, 1 against, and 1 not voting. You voted, what did you vote? Yes. A verbal yes for Commissioner McCarty, so it is 8-1. Now we will vote on the ordinance, the amended ordinance. The machines are open. Let the record state that the ordinance has passed 6-4, 2 against, and 1 abstention. Next item on the agenda.
There are no items under 7, new business. 8, approval of the February 8th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
Can I get a motion? Offered by Commissioner Jurisic. Can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Kognovich. Get you. Next item.
We got to vote.
Vote, go ahead.
What we doing? I mean,
Vote for the minutes.
And it passes unanimously. Next item.
Adjournment.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Commissioner Kognovich, seconded by Commissioner Newsom.
did you,
Mr. France, you want to
Mr.
say?
LaFrance.
He likes it.
come about that?
And the motion to adjourn is passed 9-0. Let the record state that the meeting of the Plaquemines Parish Port Harbor Terminal District for February 22nd has terminated at 4:02 PM.